I'm particularly happy to be here today and to speak in this event, gathering so many people about investment, because this is indeed a top priority also for the European Union in its work in Tanzania and in particular in Zanzibar. I would like to put in the context what we are going to discuss today. The European Union and Tanzania have been cooperating together for 47 years in many different sectors. And the reason is that the European Union has a very precise vision of the future of Tanzania and a lot of trust in what this country can become in the future years. The potential of the country for more additional investment is evident to everybody, so it's a matter of working together to exploit it. So the role of the European Union as such is essentially a role of support and of facilitation. Support to the policies of the government in mainland and in Zanzibar, and facilitation in order to contribute to create a better environment for investment in trade. Just a small example, Tanzania is benefiting from a trade scheme which is called Everything But Arms, which means that all Tanzanian products can access the European Union market without any customs duties and without any quota limitations. So apparently this is a free market. In reality, we know that in various occasions it's difficult to reach the European markets because of issues related to quality, standards, and conformity with the safety rules of the international markets. And this is precisely an area in which the European Union is working together with the Tanzanian authorities to enhance the quality of the Tanzanian products. And this is also with a view to encouraging further investment in the country. Now, in March 2022, a few months ago, the European delegation, in cooperation with UBG and with the Tanzanian authorities, has released a report on the state and prospects of investment of the European Union companies in this country. And the objective of this report is not only to present the state of the current situation and the prospects, but also to be a tool for the economic diplomacy of the two governments which are so active in the last months in promoting investments. And this is for a very precise reason, that the cooperation of partners like the European Union, the money that will bring to the country under the form of grants or loans will never be enough to make the difference in the development of the country. And the same applies also to the contribution of other donors. The only way of making the difference and pushing ahead the economic development and the economic growth is investment, which means involvement of the private sector and investment in the economy. So this is the only way of generating the mass of money that will necessary to create the activities that will make the difference in the future. The reason why we strongly support the European Union investments is that because we firmly believe that the European investments are bringing wherever they go, and therefore also to Zanzibar, quality in terms of compliance with environmental standards, with the social regulations, with the sustainability of the economy. And we think that this is very important because investing in a country and bringing work is certainly one essential issue, but this must also comply with a certain quality if we want to support the sustainable development of a country. Now, what I would like to say in order to conclude my remarks is one thing, that investors, in my rather long career now, I have seen investors making decisions on where to put their money on very precise points. For instance, how many days are necessary to release a container from the port? How predictable is the tax environment? How predictable is the legal framework? And these are key elements for all investors in order to make this decision. And I have literally seen investors who decide to change their destination of investment on very specific issues like that. So these kind of details and principles are very important. And my final comment is to say that I am an ambassador, but the real ambassadors of investment in Tanzania and in Zanzibar are the investors and the business people who are already here. Because if they say that they are happy to be here, to work in Zanzibar, and that they feel comfortable in doing business there, this will be the best possible message that can be given to other potential investors. And I think this is what we really need to achieve working all together. And as a very final comment, I would like also to say that the European Investment Bank, after an absence of several years, has decided to re-engage in Tanzania. And the first actions will be the opening of credit lines for small and medium enterprises. We consider that this is an extremely positive signal that is announcing a better work in the future, and especially a sign of trust in the country. So with that, I thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Dr. Hussein Al-Mwinyi, President of Zanzibar, Honorable Mr. Mudrik Ramadan Soraga, Minister of State, President's Office, Labor, Economy, Investment, other ministers, government representatives, ambassadors and representatives from other missions, representatives from the private sector, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, good morning. As-salumi alaikum. Asante. Asante. It's a great honor to be amidst all you dignitaries and so many European investors and business people. This is my third visit to Zanzibar in only a few months' time. The last times that I visited Zanzibar, I had the honor to meet with the President and several ministers to discuss on strengthening cooperation between the Netherlands and the government of Zanzibar. Therefore, I'm very pleased to kick off, together with all the dignitaries, the Zanzibar European Investment Forum, to discuss key challenges and opportunities of the business climate in Zanzibar. And we've heard the invitation to be bold. That's never a problem for Dutch representatives, so we will have a very constructive dialogue. The Netherlands is already Tanzania's second biggest EU trade partner and the biggest EU investor. Of course, much of that investment is linked to fields in which the Netherlands has long excelled, like the maritime sector, agriculture, food security. But there are also exciting new areas, like agro-logistics and especially the blue economy, we think, where we are and can be collaborating more and more. Like in Zanzibar, a large part of the Dutch economy depends on our strategic location on the sea. The waters of our seaports keep our economy afloat. And the deltas of the rivers Maas, Rhine and Scheldt are Europe's gateways to the rest of the world. And our ports also function as the main hub between not only Tanzania, but most African countries and Europe. The Dutch maritime cluster has worldwide knowledge, expertise in the field of inland shipping, ports, offshore industries, fisheries, education, shipbuilding, and maritime supplies. The Netherlands is also a leading Dutch provider of maritime security services. We believe that maritime security is essential to the blue economy in various ways. Sea power and economic development functions relate to the protection of shipping channels and safe passage of vessels at sea. This is also why today we brought a special guest from the Royal Netherlands Navy, Commander Pepijn Verstand. Pepijn, where are you? Yes, tallest man in the room, I think. Yeah, okay. He is the specialist in laws, policies, tax systems, rights, regulations, and procedures that govern business, as they nurture not just their domestic private sectors, but also those of the islands. We think of the following course of actions. I do understand that companies went through challenging times during COVID and the ongoing Russian attack on Ukraine, which has disrupted businesses all over the world. The taxi driver this morning told me, however, that all the tourists are back, so I hope that you can do business as usually and even better. And many people are very happy that international travel is coming back to life. A key aim of the strategy for the coming years, of our cooperation strategy for the coming years with Tanzania, is to work together to reduce the number of bottlenecks and further enhance an enabling business environment. Government doesn't have to do everything, but providing a good framework, then the private sector can take care of a lot of other things. The goal is having an equal level playing field and a true welcoming place for investors, one in which all firms compete on an equal footing to offer to the consumers everywhere the widest possible choice and the best value for money. Not only for the Dutch companies, but for the European companies, for the Tanzanian companies. Not only for the big corporates, but especially also for the startups and the smaller ones, because they bring a lot of life to the economy. For this reason, we are very excited to be here today, to have this dialogue between European investors and the Zanzibar government in order to solve current challenges of investors and look for new possibilities in the future. I'm happy to see in the room so many key representatives of the Zanzibar government from the highest level. It's also a pleasure to be amongst current investors in Zanzibar, because I believe they are, as Manfredo already said, key ambassadors to attract even more investment. I believe by working together, we can improve the business environment and the competitiveness of Zanzibar. Once again, thank you for your participation, and we are looking forward to a fruitful and constructive dialogue. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ambassador of the Netherlands, Honorable Wiebe de Boer. Asante Sana. Next to the stage, we're going to have our panel discussion, where we're calling the private sector, the actual companies on the ground, to discuss the challenges and opportunities that they are facing to unlock the bottlenecks to further increase investment into Zanzibar. First to the stage, I'd like to call Joseph Limo. He's the Tax Partner Director from PwC, who will be our panel chair this morning. Karibu, Joseph. Thank you. Next, we are calling Honorable Mudrik Ramadan Soraga, Minister of State President's Office, Labor, Economy and Investment. Karibu Mheshimiwa. Followed is the Director General of the Zanzibar Revenue Board. Karibu sana. Thank you. Next, we are having Mr. Bert Shudville. Karibu. He is the owner or director of the Paradise and Wilderness Group. You're very welcome. Next to the stage is the only lady of the panel, Miss Judith Rovers, Associate Director of Lumen Associate East Africa. Karibu sana. Miss Judith Rovers is followed by Mr. Tobias Detsold, the Chief Product Officer of CPS Zanzibar Limited. Karibu, Mr. Tobias. Next, we are calling Mr. Grant Anderson, the CEO of Blue Amber Zanzibar, Penny Royal Limited. Karibu, Grant. Again, the aim of the panel is to have a constructive conversation on investment opportunities. Ideally, we like to really promote and understand from yourselves what is happening on the ground, what do we need to do, how do we increase European investment into Zanzibar. Again, as both ambassadors have said, that businesses are the ambassadors of investment to Zanzibar. So please, the floor is yours. Joseph, karibu sana.
Thank you, CK. Your Excellency, Dr. Hussein Ali Mwinyi, President of Zanzibar and Chairman of the Revolutionary Council, Honorable Ministers, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, good morning. As introduced by CK, my name is Joseph, tax partner and director from PricewaterhouseCoopers, Tanzania. We work in partnership with EUBG and a lot of other investment groups in Tanzania, and I'm privileged to run the panel discussion today. My role is very simple, just to make people who are on the ground to share their experiences on what works, what does not work, what could work better to improve doing business in Zanzibar. And very quickly, I will introduce my team. CK did a short introduction, and I'll start from right close to me. And here I have Grant Anderson, the CEO of Blue Amber, and he's a highly driven project phase specialist, holds a degree in business management and studies, and from his years of working and traveling in America and Europe and Middle East, he brings in a lot of value added for the development of a massive investment of Blue Amber in Zanzibar. And the next is Tobias, who has been in Zanzibar for a while, is the Chief Product Officer for CPS, which is a family-owned real estate, popularly known as the Fumba Town. And supporting the Zanzibar to grow the demands for homes with more than 500 residential units that have been completed. I don't need to introduce the minister, he's well known to most of you. And then we have Bert, who is the owner and CEO of Paradise and Wilderness Group. He has been here for long and owns businesses in Zanzibar and mainland in the tourism sector. And the Commissioner for ZRB, my friend that I've worked with quite a lot in the mainland before he moved around here. And then right to the end, the lady in the group with the name Judith Rovers, who again, fortunately, I happened to be working with her in the past. She is an associate director in the Lumen Consultants and in Tanzania, Uganda, and Kenya, with experience in the investment and management sector. So that's my group. And maybe I'll start with the one who has been here for longer than the rest. And this is the owner and CEO of the Paradise and Wilderness Group, Bert. Maybe the first question to you will be, you have been operating in Zanzibar for a while now. What are some of the comments you can give on the areas of, let's say, employment, easy of getting skills, employment laws, immigration, and tax? Where possible, can you do a comparison with your experience, both in mainland and Zanzibar? And if you think of any aspect that could be improved. So just below you, there's a mic right there. You can pick that one and respond. Karibu.
Good morning. First, and I think I'm not the longest here on the forum in Zanzibar. I think there are other members longer than me, but we are a few years here, more than 10 years. And one of the topics was doing business in Zanzibar, the challenges and opportunities. I think we have to start first with this. The challenges we have in the whole world. I'm from the Netherlands, also we have their challenges. But the opportunities, it's here in Zanzibar, also mainland, Tanzania. We came here for the opportunities. When I came for the first time here for holiday, I called my wife, and I was with my friends, and we say, yes, this is it. And still we are here. We started our business, and of course, then you have to start your company, employment, tax, immigration, and that are the topics that you ask to say a few words about it. Employment, to start with it. Of course, to start a company, you need employees. And that is like in the rest of the world, you have to find them, and then you have to follow the rules and the regulations, and you have to work with labor and things like that. We do, when we came here, a contract, things like that, nobody knows about it. And of course, nowadays, since a few years, everyone have a contract, everyone is following the rules, and there are good rules, and they are also workable for us. We as investor, but we came not as an investor here, we came here more as hotelier to do our hotel business, but step by step, we came more like an investor. Employment, it's working on the regulation from the law. There is no issue for us to find the right employees. That is a challenge. We have really a challenge to find here in Zanzibar the people that we need. Tax regulations. It's working. Only be transparent that we know what is possible, what is available. Sometimes we have the challenge that we don't know that there is a new rule or a new law. So if we know what's going on, makes it easier. Immigration, yeah, for me no problem. I have the same topic with immigration. I need my permit, I need my things. It's working. Mainland is going a little bit faster. If I apply there for the permit for my team members, for my expat employees, I have it in a few weeks. Here it takes a little bit more. But in mainland, we have more online. But it is working. So finally what I say, challenges we have, but I see it as an opportunity. And I think it is today good to speak about this. And I think my time is now for the next one. Thank you.
Thank you, Bert. And I'll move over to Judith. Now, Judith is in the consulting business. And my question is, as a consulting business, you are privileged to meet people in different sectors of business, and most certainly investors. So what are the main challenges expressed in relation to doing business in Zanzibar by most of your clients? And what great opportunities do you as a consultant see and you have advised investors to take here in Zanzibar?
Can you hear me? Yes. Honorable President, honorable distinguished guests, and hello everybody. Thank you for being here and allowing me to speak. Well, we are registered as a company, Lumen, on Zanzibar, and we are working a lot with investors, private investors, public, impact investors from mostly Europe. And a point we get back on a regular basis is infrastructure. Infrastructure on Zanzibar has been an area of attention for a long time. A lot has improved over the years. I mean, look at the port, at the airport, but also, for example, the roads. The first time when I came to Unguja, this is 12 years ago, the roads were nowhere near the way they are today. So that's a big improvement. And then look at the port, the plans for the port to separate the transfer of passengers from cargo will have a big impact on decongestion and will work very well for businesses investing on the Zanzibar Islands. But still, there are some areas of attention that are a concern until they are fixed. And one of them, obviously, is electricity. We have ample opportunity for renewable energy on the island. At the same time, we're still very much dependent on the mainland with one single cable. The mainland is very much dependent on hydro, which makes us vulnerable as people on Zanzibar and also as investors. And opportunities are there to do things differently. And for all the initiatives we'd like to take in the line of Vision 2020, the blue economy, processing of agri-food, we need electricity. So it's a critical area of attention. And another area is water. We've got the fresh water with the water table dropping as an area of attention, and wastewater as well. And also there is ample opportunity. We've met quite a few investors on the island with a solution of desalination. It works really well, even the rest product you can use. So there's ways to turn basically a challenge for future growth into an opportunity for investors and for Zanzibar.
Thank you very much, Judith. So maybe now I move to Tobias. Real estate sector is known to fuel economic growth in many countries. So how is the sector poised to do this in Zanzibar? And specifically, what steps has the government taken to encourage growth in this sector, particularly on the regulatory side? Things like timelines for construction permits, relaxing restriction for ownership, etc. And maybe as a close-up for you is like Zanzibar being an island, I assume there's a need to source materials from mainland and other places. If so, have there been any practical importation challenges in relation to construction materials?
Thank you very much, Joseph. Your Excellency, President, dear distinguished guests, thank you for having us. Being here for a couple of years, I have to say, that especially in the real estate sector, the government of Zanzibar has been extremely supportive over the past years. With Fumbatown development under the directive of SIPA in the free economic zone, we were the first ever to be able, with the help of SIPA, to sell properties to a foreign global market, which opened up Zanzibar to the global attention in the real estate market. And since then, the real estate market has been growing heavily here. We also, together with the government, were able to start the first condominium project on the east coast of Zanzibar, which enables us also to sell to foreigners. With that, and also being with Fumbatown, one of the strategic investors in Zanzibar, where we receive a lot of help when it comes to importation taxes, tax reliefs, tax holidays, which enable us to really invest here and multiply the investment which we're bringing into the country. So thank you very much, ZIPA and the government of Zanzibar, for your help so far. We managed since then to, in our projects in Zanzibar, to sell over already now 1,000 residential units in Zanzibar. Still a lot locally to Zanzibaris and Tanzania, but to over 56 countries in the world. Our sales team is right now in Europe, visiting over 8 cities in Europe to speak to the Tanzanian diaspora who are hungry to invest back in their home country into Zanzibar, and Zanzibar really open up their doors to enable that. That is different than in Tanzanian mainland still, so Zanzibar is very progressive in that matter. Yes, real estate sector as a driver for the economy, that is very true. It has a huge potential backwards as a multiplier effect, but also forward in attracting and building up different businesses and services. From our projects alone, we have spinned off, I think, like now 6 companies with over 400 employees successfully doing business here in Zanzibar just from our projects. So yeah, it's a huge opportunity. We see that as a real estate sector. My neighbor here can surely say the same from Blue Amber. And we are, I have to say, we discussed earlier, we just said we're happy to be here in Zanzibar at this time and to be able to invest here. Challenges, as the speakers before me said, of course there are challenges, but we can overcome them. Challenges become opportunities, especially in the infrastructure part. There's a lot of opportunities. I don't want to repeat what Judith said. Ford has been a bottleneck for us in the past. I have to be very honest on that one, but we see a lot of development and improvement happening there, so we're very happy about that. We are in Zanzibar on an island. We have to import most of the construction material. So that is definitely has been a bottleneck, but there's a huge improvement happening right now. We would like to import a lot more from Tanzanian mainland. That is still a bit difficult due to tax issues, double taxation on the VAT, the double 2 tax systems being in place with ZRB and TRA here makes it sometimes very difficult. It's sometimes easier for us to import from abroad than from Tanzania mainland, which is actually a pity. We would like to see a little some improvement there. Yeah, and beside the infrastructure which was mentioned, I want to also mention internet as one major issue where we have to stabilize to keep up with the world. We managed to attract some businesses coming now into tech businesses coming into Zanzibar, but they need stable internet, they need stable electricity, and with that Zanzibar can be really a hub. Could develop to a tech hub if we have that, because it's a very attractive destination, and especially during the past years of COVID, many businesses have changed their working procedure, going to home offices, going to freelancing, and people would love to work from here, from the beach, instead of sitting in a cold office somewhere in Europe. We just have to give them the opportunity to do that, and then they will come. I can promise you that. There are a lot already here, and more would come. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tobias. I should say very positive, and yes, the challenges are very clear, and I believe the Commissioner for ZRB will react to some. But let me close on the business side before I move to the Commissioner for ZRB. And Grant, Blue Amber. When I read the name, I was a bit surprised because I remember of the traffic lights of blue, amber, and red, but there's no red on your side. So, which makes me think of infrastructure. It has been mentioned, but you are on the northern end of the island, and bearing in mind one key consideration for investors is infrastructure. So what infrastructure challenges do you meet, and how do you overcome this? But then also, can you just mention a bit that you are one of the first strategic investors in Zanzibar? Your project is massive. So what is it that a strategic investor status is different from other investors, and what advantages are you getting?
Thank you, Joe. President Mwinyi and distinguished guests, ministers, good morning. It's a very interesting sort of discussion for me, being the first strategic investor in Zanzibar. Our vision was much longer as opposed to a short-term vision. So we have the ability to be able to adapt to change and adapt to the challenges. And we're not doing this project because it's easy. We're doing it because it's hard. And that gives us massive opportunity. And so, yes, there is a lot for us to be able to learn about doing business in Zanzibar, a lot to be able to hold opportunity. We have massive ability to be able to promote Zanzibar to the international community. There's both the real estate part of our business, but then there's also the business investment part. So the strategic investor status gives us massive benefits that the Zanzibari government has given us to be able to attract foreign investment. So we will start very small and slow to be able to bring real estate investors in. But as we're able to create a community of people at Blue Amber, it will grow into bigger business investment, because those people will be able to go home and speak confidently about Zanzibar to their friends and family and business associates to be able to encourage that investment. So we are embracing the challenges. The challenges are actually very good for us, because we don't want to do things because they're easy. We want to do them because they're hard. So Tobias has covered a couple of the smaller challenges that we have. I'm looking at the opportunity that we have. And if I could speak to any of the business investors here, be bold. It is a great time to be investing in Zanzibar. We are very, very buoyant. I'm personally very excited about our project. And so my message to you is go forth, do it.
Thank you. Now I understand why it's blue, amber, and there's no red. So Yusuf Mwenda, the Commissioner General ZRB, you have heard from the business, you have heard from the consultants, and then there's a question here. So how is ZRB positioning itself to both grow revenue collections year by year, but at the same time allow businesses to grow?
Thank you, Chairman. Your Excellency. And I believe the protocol observes. The question is, how do we raise revenue for our business? Let me assure you.
Let me assure you that we are determined to raise revenue year by year, but at the same time, we are not ready to raise taxes to the investors. But how are we going to do that? The study that has been done has confirmed the low level of paying tax in Zanzibar. Not from you as investors, but from some few. So what we'll do to raise revenue year by year is to improve compliance. And this can be done by widening tax base. Those who have not been in the base will be now included in the base. So this is one of the measures. But for some few investors who are engaging in base erosion and profit shifting, will involve in curbing the profit shifting in Zanzibar. For some few investors who are underpricing their services and goods, we'll try to eliminate it, and by doing that, we will improve the revenue without even increasing the tax rates to the investors. But we will improve in capacity in our staff. Once we improve the capacity, then the services to the investors will be improved. There will be more convenience in paying taxes, declaring and paying taxes, and ultimately this will improve the revenue collection. But we will engage fully in education to the taxpayers. Our offices, our doors are open, and the opportunity of Zanzibar is you can meet with me anytime, unlike when you are in mainland. So the doors are open to improve this, but I assure you we'll raise revenue year by year without raising tax rates to you, but widening the tax base and improving the services and curbing the profit shifting and the base erosion to Zanzibar.
Thank you, Commissioner. Businesses are assured. Now, they say save the best for last. I'm coming back to the minister who actually hold the docket. He looks after investment. And so your question is quite wide, and I will just leave it for you to swim in it. So Development Vision 2050, Blue Economy Policy. So what are the plans to actualize all the expectation while attracting the much needed investment in Zanzibar?
Thank you so much, Brother Limo, Your Excellency the President, honorable ambassadors, our distinguished guests. I would like to take this opportunity, first of all, to welcome you all to Zanzibar. We are very grateful for your presence, and we have a really huge turnout. It's beyond our expectations, so thank you so much for everyone for coming. Before I go into answering your question, I would also like to put a disclaimer and inform that we are receiving a lot of support from His Excellency the President, being the champion for investment. Since the start of his term, we have held 3 investment forums. We've invited him to 3 investment forums, and he has participated in all 3 investment forums. So, asante sana, Mheshimiwa Raisi. I think this goes to show the level of political will, the very high level of political will that is present in supporting investment, and the President has decided to be in the front line to make sure that all the initiatives that have been undertaken are fully implemented through the ministry, through the Zanzibar Investment Promotion Authority. I think such assurances are very important. Whenever you have high-level engagement, it shows that we care and we are there, and we want to ensure that we safeguard and create a very conducive environment for our investors to be able to thrive. Going into the question, it's a very broad question. I'll try to summarize it briefly. I know we've talked about the challenges. I don't want to dwell back on the challenges. I would like to talk briefly about what it is that we have done so far to overcome these challenges. So investment promotion is a very pragmatic thing. You know, it has to be forceful, it has to be deliberate, and it has to be decisive. And this is one of the reasons why we've put a lot of focus to ensure that we bring in a lot of, hold a lot of forums like this, so that we are able to engage directly to those people who are on the ground, to listen, to hear, to gain an understanding of what it is that we can do to improve the business environment. So through forums like this, continuous dialogue, we believe that we're going to be on the right track to ensure that we are creating a conducive environment for investment. Now, some of the major initiatives that we have begun to undertake, and some have already been taken, is to look at the legal and the regulatory framework, something that I call a soft initiative. Now, in the beginning, we've discovered that there was a lot of challenges in terms of the legal framework and the regulations that were not conducive to attracting investors. There were delays of issuing permits. There were delays of issuing simple documents such as a resident permit and things like that. So one of the key laws that we want to change from the very beginning is our PPP laws, to ensure that we are able to attract a lot of unsolicited projects, which we believe sets up a roadmap for attracting foreign direct investment and the flow of capital. We have a lot of projects that require a lot of capitalization, and with the existing, with the law as it was at that particular time, it was going to be very difficult to attract foreign direct investment or capitalization, especially on PPP projects. So we went in and set a bill to the House, which passed unanimously, to change the PP laws in order to invite unsolicited projects. And now we have around 15 projects that are currently under negotiation through the government negotiating team, where we're expecting to get investment. And the key projects, for example, the Mwanga Pwani Port, the airport project in Pemba, all of these, if the law had stayed as it was, we would not have been able to make any headway. But then another issue is on what do you do with your systems, and the ease of decision making and efficiency in terms of making a quick decision. If somebody wants a work permit, if they want the immigration permit, if they want to register their businesses, how do you make a quick decision without delaying an investor who's holding a loan somewhere? So we came in and we looked at the systems and we said, now it's important to form a single window digital platform where we can have a quick decision-making process, as well as improving our services at the one-stop center, so that every process is administered in one area and you don't have to go out to different entities by yourself and you encounter challenges. So we've made a lot of headway in that area. There's a glimpse of hope, and we have moved from where a permit takes 3 months to now where it takes 48 hours. So I think that's a very good progress that we've made so far. And then considering that we are an island, we said, okay, we are an island, we have limited land, but we also need land for investment. So through the directives of His Excellency, we had to undertake now to formulate a land bank for investment. So specific land that will be directly administered under the Zanzibar Investment Promotion Authority, where you can get your lease, or if there's building permits and things like that can be obtained at the center. At the current setup, all the, whether it has to do with the lease or land transfer, it's done through the land commission, something which takes a very long time at the moment. So I think if we have the land bank and we have sufficient land, strategic land placed for investment, that will help our cause. And a lot of investment is infrastructure, where you're talking about hotels and manufacturing plants and things like that. So if the land is there and it's administered under ZIPA, it means it's a very quick decision where you can get your permit. And on the other hand, if you look at the way we communicate the government framework, this is a huge area where we're paying a very close attention to. And I'm glad the ambassador of Netherlands is here. When we met at our office, I requested that we formulate an investment blueprint. At the moment, our entities are not communicating. We are not speaking the same language. If you go to the Ministry of Finance, you'll be told one thing. If you come to investment, you'll be told another thing. If you go to ZIPA, you'll be told another thing. That can be a bit problematic for an investor who's looking to make headway very quickly. The solution is there. The solution is to have an investment blueprint. Once you have a blueprint, then it means that we are all talking the same language. If you go to Ministry of Blue Economy, they'll tell you the same thing when you come to me, when you go to ZIPA, when you go to the Ministry of Finance. So once we have that in place, I think in terms of communication, we are all going to be on the same stage. And then we've reviewed our investment guideline. We've reviewed our investment guideline to bring it up to date with the current Blue Economy objectives or initiatives that we have. And that is also in the final process. Thank you to the UNDP for their assistance on that. It's finalized and we should have that up and running very soon.
That is quite a lot and very good news. Thank you very much, Your Honorable. Now, I'm challenged with time, and I was allowed to accept a few questions, but I'm going to find it quite challenging to take the questions. So what I will request you is to look at the people who are here, memorize their faces, and if you have a particular question, just go straight to them. So what I'll do to close this panel, I'll give a minute to each panelist for concluding remarks, and except the minister, because he has done quite a lot. So from that side, 1 minute for any concluding remarks.
It's definitely on. In terms of concluding remarks, the sort of progress that is visible in Zanzibar is very, very evident. I've been here personally for 5 months now, and even driving down Nyerere Road, it's incredible to be able to see the amount of progress and commitment that the government has through ZIPA and towards the development of infrastructure, the easing of restrictions, the ability to be able to have even forums like this where people can interact and get knowledge about the ability to be able to invest in Zanzibar. So there is definitely a very strong and forward movement in Zanzibar. So I would encourage investors, if you are interested, Zanzibar is a fantastic opportunity. We certainly are here to stay, and I would love to speak to anybody that's interested in finding out about our process. Please feel free to come and speak to me.
Thank you very much. Tobias?
Yes, thank you. Hello? I just can repeat actually myself from before. We are extremely excited to be here in Zanzibar at this time. We see a lot of opportunities, and we are aware of the challenges, but the really positive thing is, especially when you're listening also to government officials, to the authorities, the government and the authorities are embracing those challenges and are actively looking for solutions together with us to solve these challenges, to make it an even better investment climate. And we are extremely grateful for that cooperation. Mr. Sharif told in his opening speech to be bold and open, and we're having these discussions permanently. It's not just in an forum like here. So we are able to come and to approach the authorities and the respective government authorities to discuss these challenges and to find solutions together. And we have, over the past 10 years or so since we're here, always seen that help and that progressiveness to really solve these challenges. And it needs, I think it needs a combination of government and the private sector to solve them together. It can't be one party alone, it has to be together. And we made the experience when we run ahead, the government definitely will follow to pave the way for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Tobias. And Bert.
Almost I have to repeat some words, so let's do it a little different. With the help for investment, the one-stop shopping, the open doors from the ZRB, and the happy investors, I think Zanzibar is a great opportunity to invest. So we have the opportunity back, and I know we are happy here, and for everyone here, we can be proud on Zanzibar. Thank you.
Thank you. Judith? Judith? Judith first, and then you can close.
So to highlight a bit more about the electricity, because I know it's a big area of attention. Even before this conference, a few people came to me. So I do want to highlight that conversations with the government, amongst others with the World Bank, are well underway. In 5 to 6 years, there will be a solar plant installed with the support of the World Bank, which bring 20 megawatt extra to the grid. And that's on top of the 100 megawatt we have at the moment. If you see how much electricity is needed, we're at 80% capacity. On Eid, one day a year, we had 90% capacity, but in general at 80%. So far, we're doing well, but as I said, it needs attention before the concern can go away. We need a solution. So that's one thing I want to highlight. And then regarding renewable energy, also a few people have come to me because we have been working on Kolkata and Jau, 2 islands of Pemba, where we implemented solar energy. They just went live. They have electricity now since May, which is wonderful news. 700 people having a freezer to freeze their fish, trade it, which creates an economy for the communities on these islands. So yes, it is possible. It is definitely possible. This was funded by the government of Norway, and the grid is operational because of ZECO, and they also maintain the grid. ZECO is for the new investors, is the electricity provider on the archipelago. So yes, it is possible. And last but not least, Zanzibar is definitely on its way. We see a lot of progress, and it's also highlighted by the different panelists. Sorry, Joseph, one thing, because we talked about it, it is important. ZIPA had made huge progress, so thank you so very much. We see it on the ground. You're a very first contact for new investors, which brings a lot of basic good information to move ahead. The one-stop shop is work in progress, as you highlighted yourself, which also means as investors, we need to help each other. So go to the network events and become part of all the networks that are here on the island. There are plenty, to make sure you are well aware of all the requirements for permits, licenses, because to be surprised, it can be quite uncomfortable. So be part of it. Don't see your neighbor as a competitor. You're a competitor in business, but you are not a competitor on Zanzibar when it comes down to getting your stuff right and doing the right thing. So that's the last thing I'd like to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Judith. And I'll give you 2 minutes. Yes.
Thank you, Chairman. I would like to clarify a few points. One, we have a very good tax system in Zanzibar. And for a good tax system, it has to have important canons. One of it is convenience. In Zanzibar, we are trying as much as we can to bring convenience to the taxpayer. This involves registration, filing, and even payment of taxes. We have now started to automate our processes for registration, for filing, and even for payments. Soon we'll start registering through online system. Payment now we are paying through the systems, but the filing also will be done through the system. And as you're aware now, we have the virtual fiscal management system, where all sales are made through electronic system. And if you are investing in Zanzibar, you must be integrated with our system so that your sales will be integrated with our system. All these are done to ease the businesses and to make the investments more friendly in Zanzibar. That is what I wanted you to note. But second is on certainty. Certainty for decisions made by the government, but certainty on the when are you paying taxes, what amount you will pay. Zanzibar, we are more certain in the tax administration system. As investor, you'll be accorded tax incentives, where you'll be exempted some of the taxes during importation and even during local procurements while you are building your investments. The tax administration systems are efficiently supporting and facilitating your exemptions. We have set a limit on how we can facilitate once you have all the requirements to be given those approvals for exemptions. So be assured when you're in Zanzibar that is done. But another one is on the auditing. There will be no surprise of auditing. What are we going to do is we are now engaging in the risk-based audit. We'll not go to everyone to audit. We'll just go to those who are more riskier. And I hope the European investors will not be more riskier. And we are employing more staffs with the capacity. We'll also be able to do that. And another one is on the fairness. Some of the investors are complaining their input taxes are disqualified. Actually, if the input tax is disqualified, it's disqualified based on the law. And the tax system is clear, has put a disputes mechanism which is for you to appeal, to object, and you can appeal. And we have a system in place to expedite the objection and the appeal procedures. And the last one has been talked about the two authorities in Zanzibar, the TRA and ZRB. Yes, we have two of them, but they all worked under the directive of the revolutionary government of Zanzibar. And we are working in cooperation, and sometimes we work jointly. They're dealing with direct taxes, and we're dealing with options. We are ready to serve you. And I think Zanzibar is the most destined place for investment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. And I will end up with what you said. Zanzibar is ready to serve you. I cannot summarize everything that has been said. Challenges are there, but so are opportunities, and challenges can also be opportunities. So thank you very much, my panelists, and thank you all for listening. And I would like to close it here. Asanteni sana.
continue, and risky or the riskiness of the business will not apply to European investors. We've heard of the one-stop shop. We praise that, and I think it's a brilliant idea. But also the delays of permits that have been reduced, that's absolutely brilliant, from 3 months to 48 days. We really welcome that and encourage that. The first turnaround is everything to business. Cost of business, many times, administrative cost is due to time, not only with money in terms of cost of expense to doing business, but also times in terms of cost of administration, overhead in doing business. The first turnaround will really put a huge emphasis on the development of business and helping businesses to grow. Asanteni sana. So in the next on this session, I would like to welcome, we will be having a letter of intent signing on here. This letter of intent signing is between ourselves, the European Business Group, and ZIPA, where we will be signing an agreement or looking at identifying areas of working together to further promote European investment into Zanzibar, to further promote research on European investment to Zanzibar. And with this letter of intent to sign, it's really a goodwill on both sides, both on ZIPA and the European Business Group to work together, Asante. In 2 minutes, we'll have the setup for the letter of intent that will be witnessed by both the President, Your Excellency, and the Ambassador of the Netherlands will be also witness to the letter of intent signing. Thank you. We would now like to welcome Honorable Modric Saraga, Minister of Investment, to please.
Honorable guest of honor, Your Excellency Mwinyi, President of Zanzibar and Chairman of the Revolutionary Council, Honorable Your Excellency Ambassador Manfredo Fanti, Ambassador of the European Union, Delegation of the United Republic of Tanzania. I recognize the presence of the Regional Commissioner. I recognize the presence of the Mayor, Permanent White de Boer, the Ambassador for the Kingdom of Netherlands, Commander SD Pejin Vastand, Royal Netherlands Navy and founder of Maritime Capacity Alliance, Mr. Hans Lem, Board Chair, European Business Group and CEO of Green Resources, Mrs. C.K. Richards, Executive Director of European Business Group, representatives from the Zanzibar Association of Tourism, investors. I would like to recognize the presence of the Executive President of the Hotel Association of Zanzibar, Mr. Leslie Graham, members of the media, distinguished delegates, Assalamu alaikum. Your Excellency the President, my task is very simple, and that is to invite you to address this audience. I think for most of what has been said, it suffices to show that the direction for investment in Zanzibar is on a very positive trajectory. We would like to encourage our European partners to continue to engage with us on this journey that we have already begun and that is moving very expeditiously. So without further ado, Your Excellency the President, I would like to welcome you to address this audience. Asante sana.
Honorable Mudrik Ramadhani Soraga, Minister of State, President's Office, Labor, Economic Affairs and Investment, Honorable Ministers here present, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors of European Union and the Netherlands here in Tanzania, Mr. Lem, Board Chair of the European Business Group, Ms. Richards, Executive Director of the European Business Group, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. Let me begin by conveying my sincere gratitude and appreciation to the Ministry of State, President's Office, Labor, Economic Affairs and Investment, and the Zanzibar Investment Promotion Authority for organizing this forum in partnership with European diplomatic missions based here in the United Republic of Tanzania. I would also like to thank the organizing committee for having invited me to officiate at this important event. Before I proceed, I would like to take this opportunity to warmly welcome all our distinguished guests to Zanzibar. As we say in Kiswahili, karibuni sana. I'm happy to see this big gathering of top government officials, diplomats, businessmen, and investment stakeholders from different European countries are here to discuss and explore various investment opportunities available in Zanzibar and to foster the historical cooperation between Zanzibar and the European Union. Your participation in a huge number is in fact a clear testimony of your support, commitment, and belief in Zanzibar potential as an investment destination. I'm also elated to note that both the theme and objective of this forum are in line with our mission and vision to promote investment and sustainable economic development in Zanzibar. We are pleased to host you during the time when our economy is in the stage of recovery after being severely affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Distinguished participants and invited guests, it is encouraging to see that the long-standing cooperation between Zanzibar and European countries has been flourishing in the different socio-economic aspects. I'm delighted to inform you that through the Zanzibar Investment Promotion Authority, a total of 342 projects worth $2.6 billion from European countries have been registered. This accounts for 38% of all registered investment projects in the country. It is my hope that after this forum, this number will increase. Distinguished participants, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, Zanzibar has opened its doors to international investors to provide further impetus for creating job opportunities, propelling economic growth, and bringing about shared prosperity. We also believe that the flow of foreign direct investment in our country is instrumental in our efforts to meet other development goals that have been set by the regional and international organizations, including the Sustainable Development Goals endorsed by the UN and the Agenda 2063 that has been set by AU with the aim of achieving inclusive and sustainable socioeconomic development. Distinguished participants and invited guests, it is encouraging to note that despite the global pandemic, Zanzibar has been steadily increasing its ability to attract and secure long-term investments. This is evidently seen from the statistics which are being collected by the Zanzibar Investment Promotion Authority. For instance, in the period of 19 months, from November 2020 to May 2022, ZIPA has registered 136 investment projects with a total value of $1.4 billion, which are expected to create more than 9,000 direct jobs. I want to assure you that the government will continue to improve investment and business environment to attract more foreign direct investment. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is a fact that investment is key to economic growth. It is with this understanding in mind that promoting investments has been one of the cornerstones of our government's development agenda. The government policy is to promote investment in blue economy. The blue economy strategies intend, among others, to make the best use of marine and coastal resources, as well as promoting and ensuring the compliance. The Ministry of Blue Economy was established to fast-track the coordination of the blue economy activities within the country. The government also embarked on implementing mega blue economy strategies projects, such as the Mangapwani Integrated Hub Port Project, renewable energy projects, exploration of oil and gas, just to mention a few. We welcome all potential investors in these major projects. The government has also put up some of our smaller islands for high-end investment and development opportunities. It is encouraging to see that many investors have shown a great deal of interest to invest in those islands. So far, a total of 17 small islands out of the 52 have been awarded to various investors with the total investment capital of $443 million. I hope that in this forum, you will also have some time to discuss the available opportunities in our free economic zones and the various incentives that we have to offer. Distinguished participants, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. In an effort to streamline investment undertaking, the government, through Zanzibar Investment Promotion Authority, has transformed its one-stop facilitation center, whereby prospective investors can access services provided by 12 relevant government agencies in one place. Efforts are now being directed towards digitizing investment services to fast-track the provision and accessibility of the services to investors. The government, through ZIPA, can now process an investment application within 3 days. Our target to improve the process to 24 hours. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, while we strive to promote investment in Zanzibar, we recognize the fact that achieving good governance and having lasting peace in our country is vital to our success. To this end, we have created government of national unity and prioritized to resolve our differences through dialogue and consultation. We have been working hard to promote social cohesion among Zanzibaris. I've heard the panelists today regarding the challenges that they are facing both on infrastructure and services. I want to assure you the government is working to resolve most of those challenges that were mentioned here today. To give you an example, I've heard about the challenges under infrastructure, power, for example, and I'm happy to report to you that among the areas where we have the most interest in investments is the power sector. So far, I have received so many applications from people who want to set up power generation from different sources. We already have signed with one company that is going to generate 100 megawatts of solar power. We are already under discussion with a second company that is going to generate 50 megawatts from a combination of solar and solid waste. Regarding roads, I agree with you. We do have a challenge when it comes to roads. Personally, sometimes when I go to these hotels, some of them 5-star hotels, but to get there is a nightmare. I want to tell you that the government has already concluded, had already signed a project of construction of rural roads of 270 kilometers, and that project has already started. I can tell you in the next 2 years, we will have better roads to all the hotels in Zanzibar and to all the rural areas. As if that is not enough, kilometers rehabilitation of all major urban roads with flyovers that is going to cost us, giving you our assurances that infrastructure is being taken care of. On the port, I know at the moment the Malindi port is a big problem. I'm told that some of the ships could wait in line for up to 3 weeks. But that's the reason why we are in discussion with the Omani Investment Authority to establish a mega port in Mangapwani. And very soon, we are now under the commercial concession discussion. Very soon, we are going to sign that, and that will lead to an establishment of a world-class port in Mangapwani. One of the challenges that I'm facing is in the water sector. So I was happy to hear that there are investors who are willing to work with us in the water sector, and I'll be happy to talk to them directly, myself personally, to make sure that we resolve the water challenges that we are facing in the country. On the other side, apart from infrastructure, it is the services that we are giving at ZIPA. As I said earlier, we are now giving the investment certificates in 3 days. We are looking to bring that down to 24 hours, but I want to assure you that all these 12 government institutions that are supposed to give these permits are going to be under one roof, and we are going to make sure that you get all your certificates in 1 day. So, to conclude my remarks, I thank you all for your dedication, and I'm looking forward to enhancing our thriving partnership for the economic sustainability of our country. Once again, I welcome you to visit our tourist attractions and other areas allocated for investment after this forum to practically see what Zanzibar can offer in tourism and investment. I reiterate the fact that Zanzibar is open and safe for business and investment. With these remarks, it is now my pleasure to declare that the Zanzibar European Investment Forum is officially opened. I thank you all for your attention.
Okay, so. You're tired, yeah.
We don't use weapons in our maritime domain, we only use words. But the maritime domain, especially the partners maritime security, domain awareness, or the experience we have been building in various countries around the world, don't hesitate to contact me. Many thanks.
Joseph.
Asante sana, CK. Good discussion. I've never imagined myself sitting between two excellencies ambassadors. So I'm privileged to actually chairing this. And as introduced on my left-hand side, I have His Excellency the Ambassador of the Netherlands and His Excellency the Ambassador of the European Union. And on my right-hand side, I have Peter Moffitt and His Honorable Dr. Jumbe, who is the Permanent Secretary, the Ministry of Blue Economy. And very shortly, I will just say who is Peter and who is Dr. Jumbe. I'm not going to go into details about this. So Peter is a managing partner of Africa Catalytic Investment Partners, which is a Dutch-based impact investor. CIP provides investors with investment opportunities that align with their mandate and support companies with access to capital for the expansion and also advice on transactions. So you will see why he's here. We have discussed about doing business in Zanzibar, opportunities. Now we want to bring in capital, and we have ambassadors from European Union and Netherlands who also will talk about how do we bring capital to Zanzibar. So FDIs to Zanzibar, and the permanent secretary will talk about opportunities in the blue economy and what is ready to actually be financed by the capital that we are looking for. So maybe I'll go straight to Peter, and I'll start with Peter Moffitt. And Peter, I've been to the website of your organization, the Africa Catalytic Investment Partners, and it describes your core focus as to bridge the gap between investors and bankable, scalable, and highly impactful investment opportunities with the appropriate risk-adjusted returns in emerging and developing markets. So I've just copied and pasted from there.
Secondly, the market regulatory effect.
Existing investors, because they can also invest more, and they might invest easier if an investor knows beforehand, okay, I'm going to invest, but if I need to do some other things, or if I want to sell my investment, that's going to be easy, then such an investor will be more willingly to put the money.
As a lawyer, I find it difficult to find the right people, investors we have. So I think the government and investors who are here, we need to work together and address that issue. A question for Peter. You know, tech and youth, those are hot topics, very sexy topics, and Zanzibari population is so youthful. How do you bring money to support enterprises in tech, but led by, you know, young Zanzibaris? And finally, to the Zanzibar government, make it easier for investors to apply. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
From this, as we gave
The concluding remarks, Dr. Jumbe.
Thank you so much, Chair. I'll start with my brother, Joseph. I think after all that's been discussed in the morning, I think we have to understand that we must not lose sight of our fundamental need to empower our local communities, embrace bankable projects and investments that invest back in nature. Our fiscal priorities should integrate climate, biodiversity, and blue financing, and our investments should be conscious, very conscious of social inclusion in Zanzibar, equity, and gender mainstreaming, and that public-private partnerships, we still believe, including joint ventures and other forms of partnerships in blue economy settings, are key to unlocking our blue economy opportunities here in Zanzibar. Now, going to the issue of ocean science and research, I think we have engaged a lot in that particular aspect, but at the end of the day, we need ocean science and research to fast track on our capacity to develop our marine spatial planning process, draw lessons on coastal resilience from the previous integrated coastal management strategies, but also establish science to policy platforms to better inform on blue investments. To conclude, Chair, let me just recap on the context of this particular August session. We must use the current advantage of our existing bonds with the European Union and partners to revitalize the post-COVID-19 economy here in Zanzibar, capitalizing on the positive environment to reopen discussion again with the European Union on issues of ocean governance, maritime security, and deep sea fishing, but also work together to adopt circular economy, fight marine waste, and adopt Team Europe Initiative, Green Deal programs into the investment models here in Zanzibar. There's already a strong alignment with European Union on environment, biodiversity conservation, fisheries, tourism, various aspects of agro-value chains. We have to invest. We have to invest on environment protection, climate, fighting marine pollution, but also we are discussing with the European Union to address the whole context of the future Zanzibar that is called a zero plastic area, Zanzibar tourism destination. I'll stop here, Chair. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Jumbe. And your Honorable Minister, investors are ready, the opportunities are ready, the money is almost there. I mean, what is your concluding remarks on how to attract it and achieve what Zanzibar is planning to achieve?
Thank you so much, moderator. Before I go into my concluding remarks, there were two issues that were raised by my two learned brothers that I don't think got a response, and I would like to address those. First of all, with my brother Masood, regarding the inclusivity aspect. I think this is something that we overly tend to overlook. And it's very important that we address the issues of local content. So as we are inviting investors to come in and invest, but we also need to put due consideration on how do the local communities, our young men and women who are tech savvy, who are hungry to advance, how do we also engage them in that aspect? Now, the way I see this is that you actually have to have a very solid framework of financial institutions, financial services, and especially if you talk about startups. The best way to do startups is actually have venture capitalists. The only way to get venture capitalists is to have a very strong financial setting. Once you have that, then at least you can have a framework of support for startups. And there are a lot of them. There are a lot of talented individuals who are out there making various products, providing solutions, but they don't have the money to kind of move along in that area or to realize their dreams. So I think in the aspect of addressing local content, engagement of our people, we need to put emphasis on setting up a very strong financial framework that would allow for capital to flow within the country, but would allow venture capitalists to come in and provide whether it's loans or grants. But I think it's something that we can generate enormous economic potential or economic activities once we support our startups. And then capacity building in general, just training and providing knowledge transfer. we are trying to limit as much as possible. Apart from dealing with investment, my other portfolio is labor. And what I try to emphasize also is the skills gap, that we have to address the skills gap. And if we feel that this job can be done by local Zanzibari, then at least let's put some effort to ensure that we train a local Zanzibari to partake that particular job. So for our investors, I hope we can be partners in this. These initiatives require very bold decision making, and sometimes you have to make a lot of sacrifices as well in order to be able to make those decisions. And I hope we will have the right partners in achieving our goals. The other issue by Madame Bernadette, looking at our bottom line, let's look at it. Let's look at it threefold: not only profit-centered, but people-centered as well as environmental centered. And I'm happy that the PS for the blue economy, he's an advocate for sustainable practices in terms of what we are doing, extracting our marine resources and using our marine resources. So this is something that we really have to take into consideration. As an island, we have a very fragile eco environment, and so we must be very cautious in terms of our dealings and how we conduct our economic activities. In terms of the broader strategy by my learned brother from the Tourism Association, what are we doing in terms of attracting high value tourists? And this is also part of the overall package for sustainability and effective use of our natural resources, is to limit the number, because we also have a carrying capacity issue that we have to look into as an island. You know, if we are focusing on 2 million, 3 million tourists, is that a sustainable practice? Or do we need to limit the number where we can have quality and value over quantity? So to address that, we've begun with the islands, as you've rightly put it, to attract high value investment in those islands, and we're happy that the response has been very positive. The average investment for all of these islands is around 60 million. US dollars, the highest being 120 million US dollars. And the concepts are extremely eco-friendly. They focus on the environment, they focus on sustainability. I think it's just our job as partners to ensure that we are able to oversee compliance on these issues, because speaking and presenting it is one thing, but actually implementation and oversight, it's a different thing, and this requires a concerted effort to be able to do that. On the other hand, on Pemba, we've also opened our doors there. We've laid out new incentives to attract investment in Pemba, which is an island that is an absolute gem in the Indian Ocean in terms of the marine resources and the ecological framework that exists on the island of Pemba. And with the incentives that we issued for strategic investment in Pemba, we believe that the whole concept of ecotourism would be suitable in that area, and it should set a very good benchmark for us moving forward in terms of our agenda for sustainable tourism.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. So before I close this, I would like to thank the EUBG for the opportunity, to myself and to PwC to be part of this event. It has been a really honor to moderate both the first and the second panel. And secondly, I would like to thank my panelists. As you could see, they are quite knowledgeable. They have addressed and they have given it a proper the topic that was actually on the table. And I believe most of you have gotten to hear a lot of information that you didn't have. So I will request for you to give them a round of applause. Asante sana, and I will close from here. CK, the mic back to you.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Thank you to our panelists. We are, due to time, we are cutting short the roundtable discussions with the government regulatory authorities, and instead we will call Permanent Secretary Dr. Jumbe. Dr. Jumbe. Brilliant. We would like to call you to do the closing remarks, Doctor. Just before, as Dr. Jumbe is getting set up, we'd like to let everybody know we are having lunch. I believe everyone in here has received a coupon, a lunch coupon from the hotel. If you haven't, Fortune, over there we'll be issuing the lunch coupons. Lunch will be served at the inside part of the hotel, close to the restaurant. Again, lunch will be for networking. We do have some government regulatory body representatives who will be joining us for lunch. And again, this is the opportunity to network and meet them, share your experiences as investors in Zanzibar, and also for them to understand what they can do or how best they can support you here to better increase European investment. Without further ado, karibu sana, Dr. Jumbe. Asante.
Thank you so much, CK Richards. Honorable Mudrik Ramadan Soraga, Minister of State, President's Office, Labor, Economy and Investment, Zanzibar. Ambassador Manfredo Fanti, Your Excellency, Ambassador of the European Union Delegation to Tanzania and the East African Community. His Excellency Ambassador Wib de Boer, Ambassador of the Netherlands to Tanzania. Honorable Sharif Sharif, Executive Director of Zanzibar Investment Promotion Authority. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished members, protocols observed. Standing here on behalf of my minister, Honorable Suleiman Masoud Makame, Minister of Blue Economy and Fisheries, for the closing remarks. So first, let me take this great opportunity to thank everyone, including the European Business Forum, European Union, development partners, and diplomatic corps for your participation, extensive contribution in the sessions, and commitment to support Zanzibar's investment drive. During these discussions, I believe we have covered a lot of areas, almost every key thematic area of Zanzibar investment opportunities, as well as discussing challenges and priorities, including on blue economy. We have discussed opportunities, challenges, post-COVID-19 recovery, intervention plans, and the business partners' commitment to continue to support Zanzibar's sustainable development. Also, the discussion themes that we have received today were very constructive. We take every input and contribution given by you seriously. We must take this opportunity once again to re-energize our investment opportunities here in Zanzibar and Tanzania in general, and an empowerment drive and action plan that is compatible to Zanzibar's development priorities. We acknowledge that we need to integrate blue economy, social inclusion, environment, private sector participation, and blue investments into the agenda of Zanzibar European Business Forum. We also recognize your continued support for Zanzibar and in assisting us cope with the challenges, as well as shared commitments and shared initiatives, and we highly appreciate your support to continue to enhance Zanzibar's development aspirations. This first ever Zanzibar European Investment Forum has been a reflective forum, a reflective time to Zanzibar's investment transformative vision to assess where we are in our comparative advantage and where we aim to achieve in our investment climate. Our presence here together also demonstrates the commitment of the government of Zanzibar to work closely with the European Union, private sector, and other investment stakeholders on the quest for enhancing friendly business environment. Our president of Zanzibar fully supports and has strongly advocated for Build Back Better programs, post-COVID-19 recovery drive, stimulating the blue economy value chains, overall low-hanging fruits such as in fisheries, tourism, aquaculture, maritime trade, ocean conservation, climate adaptation, and social inclusion. On behalf of the Revolutionary Government of Zanzibar, we thank all of you for making this meeting fruitful, effective, impactful, responsive. Finally, I would like to commend the organizers for the job well done, ZIPA and the ministry, the President's Office, Labor Economy Investments, along with our development partners, European Union, Embassy of Netherlands, and many, many more who supported us. our development partners, esteemed investors, and those potential investors who are ready to embark on the journey of investing in Zanzibar. Karibuni sana, and I wish you all a safe journey home. Thank you, and wish you all the success. Asanteni sana.
Thank you ever so much, Dr. Jumbe, much appreciated. Now, I do understand I'm the only one between lunch, but we are about to leave now, and our photographers have requested that we all come to the front for a group picture. I know things are getting so advanced right now. I think it's going to be a group selfie. So please, as we are headed for lunch, if we could all please come to the front for a group picture. Asanteni. Okay. So some people can come up here. For the taller ones like myself, I think up the stage will be a good idea. Emma, where are you? Wende, to the stage, please. Stage. The stage. Yes. Wende to the stage, thank you. Good morning.